I mean, do we need...
Whoa!
Oh, no! That's not...
I didn't know that was holding that.
You know what? When you get Amazon furniture, Mike.
Fuck. I did not know that. Well, we're here, another episode of the Michael Ketchen Show, and my curse with Miguel Lopez continues. Joined as always by Matthew Hitchcock and our first new co-host, Miguel Lopez. Thanks for being here.
Pleasure's mine, gentlemen. Always a pleasure being with you too.
Good
Known
seeing
you
Sexy, hairy men.
Yes, I've known you for my entire life.
Yeah.
And it's a running joke that we have because I always, even when we were kids, I would spill something. It's like one of those psychological powers. And if you will see in the blooper that we'll give to Danielle for the social, spilt my latte over myself because this fucking plant is weighted on whatever table we have holding here.
It's on your bad side. So
It's on my bad side. So I did not pee myself prior to the show, I promise. But Miguel, how the fuck are you?
I'm fantastic. Freezing my ass off. Atlanta's a lot warmer, nicer.
Yeah, thanks for coming up here.
But I just want to, full transparency, Matt was like, you know what? Mike's messy anyways. Leave that shit on him.
Very true. You are a pretty messy eater.
I am a very messy eater. I'm a
When
messy
we're out
person.
to eat, you end up having something on your shirt.
Yeah, I'm a mess. And then like Hannah's like perfect the way she does it, which just drives me up a wall. But
Funny you
I
mentioned
don't know.
Hannah. I was talking to Matt.
I'm afraid to use my table now. Can I use my table?
I was like, Matt was on the dark side with me for a while.
I was on the dark side.
Single.
And I was like, Matt, I've been to his new house. He's telling me he's getting a pool. Like, he's all, super happy.
Conspiracy you're not allowed?
And I'm like, bro, like, is the other side really worth it?
You asked him that right
I asked him.
He asked me that.
I asked him that.
And I said I love married life. Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, marriage life is, he's like, it's great.
Well, I actually hate that Matt's married because he makes the rest of us husbands look so bad. Because he's always doing
Super
some
husband.
shit
Super
that is
husband.
just setting the bar so high I can't fucking get there. It's actually really annoying. Like we talked about this. Amy's like, yes, we share our calendar, and he's always
Whoa.
like picking me up at the airport and making me meals and having little snack bags and shit when I get home. And I'm like, all right, you need to stop.
So you're the guy that does the poster, like, baby, I love you, I miss you, on the pillow, and then you go off to
All
work.
that shit. It's just unrealistic, and it drives me up a fucking wall.
Man, I don't post about it. I keep it all personal, all private until now.
Yeah, well, you've definitely
Your
flipped the
Instagram's
whole
got a
thing
bunch of
over,
single
yeah.
chicks like, how about me?
All right. So we got you up here
Yeah.
for a lot of reasons. One, what's on the table here?
He looks
Because
like
you
an
wanted to
alcoholic
bust
because he's
out.
got two whiskeys in
I'm
front of him.
listen, I'm a coffee addict, right?
Yes.
And then you said you wanted this conversation to be natural.
Yes.
My
So you
natural
decided to bring in
environment.
alcohol.
Yeah. It's my natural environment.
All right. Well, let's do a cheers because
Yeah,
if you want to slide those over and
Well,
make sure the mics are good.
Love you, gentlemen.
Yes.
Always a pleasure.
And happy birthday to you and me.
And happy birthday
Yeah,
to you
happy
too.
birthday to you.
December
Cheers.
babies. Thank you,
Cheers.
gentlemen. First time also with alcohol on your podcast.
Yes, first time.
Happy to bless the
Why am
bless
I
the
Christen
shocked
it.
that you being here took that? Are we shooting this? Okay. No, I wasn't saying. Please
Definitely
don't
was
tell me
not
we're
planning to do that.
Don't follow my lead. Trust me. You'll be single
We
quick.
have a lot of sample size. But no, I wanted to bring you on for this topic in particular because it's kind of interesting the way in the real estate market it's gone, the way we looked at it. We got started investing obviously in 2017. You've been a passive investor with us. You bought your own real estate. In fact, you bought your first multifamily when we were in college, I think.
Yeah. Ames Street was like 2008 or 9. So it was after college, a couple years after.
And then when did you buy 17th Ave?
15?
Yeah, so you guys are
15.
both pretty early on, technically before Commonwealth Collective. And that's kind of perfect segue what we're going to get into is because you look at inflation and COVID and what's going on and what people want to hear about while we're always talking about buy assets. And
Right.
I was like, it's perfect to bring you on because you're still in the W-2 world.
Yep.
And the story I'll lead with, because I just think it's an unbelievable story. We're sitting in Houston at the Post Oak, favorite hotel in the world.
It's awesome.
And he had bought a few different deals from us at that point, like wholesales.
Yeah.
And we're updating the spreadsheets because Miguel's not, full disclosure, Miguel's a great investor. He's very successful because it works for him. I wouldn't say he's an active landlord. He's got the Miguel way of doing it because he's a sales guy first
called
and
Miguel
foremost.
strategy.
Yes, the Miguel strategy.
Miguel management.
And he's going through it and we go with everything. And we're sitting there and I'm adding up the equity on what he paid versus what they're worth now because of inflation. He sips his coffee. He goes, shit, I'm a millionaire. Yeah, he goes, it's fucking cool. No idea what's going on. And it just perfectly encapsulated that you've taken risk while working your job and you've bought some investments. What is that like for a person to kind of be in both those worlds at the same time?
Well, Mike's being really kind. There's been a few deals I've bought for Mike. I trust him with my life because he's earned that. But one of the deals I bought from Mike, completely sight unseen. He told me the address. He told me the condition of the property. Took his word for it. And we just signed it. bought it.
Manchester?
That was Perry Ave.
Oh, Perry.
Yeah, but you and him never even saw it. You got to check for it, but you never even
Yeah,
saw
fat
it.
check for
Haverhill,
it.
was it?
No, a different one.
I don't know.
No, I,
I remember Haverhill. I've dropped him off at Haverhill a couple times.
no, the thing is, like, I trust the kid so much. So then another time we're having whiskey at a bar talking crap, and who was the gentleman that called you about Chula Street?
Nate
Roxo?
Roxo. We got to get Nate on here.
So I don't know how many
Oh,
old
boy.
fashions deep, and me and Mike are just talking about life, and then he's like, "Hey, I got this deal. It's not really Commonwealth Collective's like house as far as the area, and he knows I don't give a shit about the area. I'm like, I'll buy a D asset tomorrow, and he just runs the numbers. Like, yeah, have him run a PNS. He saves me like 15 grand because I don't use an agent.
Yep.
Sight unseen again, bought that deal. Now that's as much time I've ever spent on those two properties, buying them. I don't check up on them that often, but you know, my mother, I have her drive around, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, it's I wake up and I look at what's the hardest decision I have to make for the day, and I make those decisions first. Then I go into like my work world and all that type of stuff. So
It's a really good tip.
right, so like you've experienced the Miguel attitude where he's like, Miguel, I'm getting letters that your water's gonna get cut off on Shula Street.
Yep.
And I'm like, don't worry about it.
Like today, it's getting cut off.
and Mike
oh, okay.
Mike
Well, I
calls
guess
me-
I'll bump it up a little
Mike
bit.
calls me 10 minutes later, dude, the water's gonna shut up. I'm like,
Yeah, we're a little bit more urgent. When Matt gets urgent, that's
I'm
when
like,
you know.
I
Well,
dare
to be
them.
fair, it did say like tomorrow it's going to get shut off.
and I was like, I dare them to shut that shit off. On
It wasn't like just
I'll
a,
be on the
hey,
city.
by the way.
I have a case.
but I want to go back to what you just said a second ago, because that's one of the things I just love about you. I've always been impressed as your friend, but even just knowing you, you have a very different approach to life and to thinking of things. And expand a little bit on that decision making, because I don't want that to be missed. You start the day with the hardest thing you have to do.
100%.
That probably puts you ahead of like 95% of people in the world.
Probably. I mean, that's when I have the most energy mentally, right? I wake up, I'm
Yep.
clear-minded. I try to go to the gym right away. That's a hard thing. Get that
Correct,
done.
yeah.
While I'm on the treadmill, I'm looking at emails. Okay, what's an urgent need? What's pressing? Right? I might have something from a water bill that might need to get paid or stuff shut off. And I build my day around importance first. Everything that can wait and that might be urgent from the person that's sending me the email might not necessarily be urgent in my big picture. And that's why I always, what's serious to me right now? What's pressing for me? And I'll tackle that first.
You
So
just talk to our fucking employees.
Well, I was about to say, I think that's what we struggle with. Like, that's a superpower in itself.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
And some of the people that we have in our organization or have had over the times, they can't keep up with doing that. They
we're
can't
actually-
organize those things.
Some of them are in the room, so I don't want their egos to get too big.
Right.
But literally, some of the employees that we've actually changed our entire hiring practice
okay.
a year ago. I don't know when Kaylee, when did you start? I don't know when Kaylee started.
6
June.
months.
And it kind of aligned with, we had one gentleman that used to work in the high school with me. So I knew his work ethic. And we were
Right.
like, man, if we can find that personality trait, that characteristic of urgency, just take action, just squeeze the fucking trigger and let the bodies be damned.
Right.
And then you get those kind of people, and they're like superpowers. And now we've actually, I think we just hired another one, and
Right.
we think we've got 3 of them now on the team. And it goes back to that culture of, I want you to be self-sufficient. I want you to do the hard stuff. I want you to be organized. But yeah, to your point, like a lot of people, they react. They don't take action. Like we always tell our staff, you never have to apologize for being too aggressive.
No doubt.
Take action. Don't let shit just linger.
Right. Treat it like it's your own, right? Like I work for a corporation, and when there's an issue, I treat that like it's my issue if it's an issue for them. But if it's not a serious issue and they're panicking over it, the way I respond to it is going to set them straight.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, Miguel deals with this on a day-to-day basis. He's cool about it. This is routine.
Yeah.
If I'm freaking out, then you know it's a freaking issue.
Oh, dude, I called Adam the other day for the exact thing. I was so pissed about something that one of the team members did.
Yeah.
I called Adam, and shout out to Ian Bishop, but he has this kind of joke that he shared with his wife, but I told Adam I didn't want to hump him, so he can't apply it. But we're doing it with Hannah where it's like, you should hit Amy with this. You ask your spouse, you ask your employee, do you want to be heard, held, helped, or humped? And don't do the hump with the employee. Don't do the last one. But
Or
We don't have HR. It's fine.
yeah. All jokes aside. So I just vented to Adam. And then in the team chat, I put like the most positive, upbeat message. He was dying laughing. He's like, what happened? I was like, I just had to vent to you. Because if I yelled, if I in that moment expressed my frustration,
Yeah.
the way I usually react, it's gonna set
this is you.
it's going to set the negative connotation. Well, that goes back to the, the leadership, the growth. And that's why I thought it was so impactful what you said. It's like, okay, I'm a very explosive personality.
Right.
So even me at a 3 is probably more energetic than most people.
Right.
If I go to a 10 with the team, What is that going to do to the morale? What is that? You see me at a
It's the
10.
rage cage.
You see me at a 10. You see me at a 10. No one else see me at a 10.
Mike at a 10 at 2 in the morning at McDonald's. And the guy freaked out, like, take whatever you want.
We don't need to tell that story. We don't need to tell that story. That's a story for another time. We tell that story. We're going to be banned on YouTube. We're going to be shadow banned fucking everywhere.
It's not a podcast story, I don't think.
That's well, maybe we'll talk to the lawyers.
Mike's point, though, his 10 is like radioactive. People freak out. It's like, dude, whatever you want, have it.
Yeah, and I try not to go to that place anymore.
Right.
Because that's
It's a dark place.
it's not healthy.
It's a dark place.
But it goes back to that doing is important. I actually heard, I wish I could remember who it was. There was literally some billionaire, some CEO person was talking about their mentor who was bigger in the space. And he said, what do you do? And he goes, I just try to do the 3 biggest things on my priority list every day. And he was like, what? He goes, my list is 7, 8. He's like, no. You get those 3 things done. The rest just goes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And this is what, it's funny. We just read the book. If you haven't read it, it's phenomenal. I don't know if I gave it to you either, audio. Did you do 10X is easier than 2X?
No.
Oh, wow.
We gave it away to the standard members. I think is what we did. Check that. If you haven't read that book, and I'm
the
going
last
back
book you
to
gave me was that B book. What was that?
the B book is awesome.
That was a
shout out to
phenomenal
Jake
book.
and Gino who wrote that. That book was phenomenal.
Yep.
But bringing that whole thing full circle, you're doing all this as a W-2. You're doing all this in the space. You were still in W-2 when you bought your first property. You're going through it. I don't think people realize since COVID and what we've heard repeatedly is there's going to be this crash. There's going to be this fucking market crash. Well,
hasn't happened.
that crash ain't happening.
No.
And we're how many millions short? I know we'll throw a graphic up. Jake said he can put it up during the editing, but what are we, 4 or 5 million housings short right now in the, in the
I think
market?
it was 5.5.
5.5 million units short. What the fuck are you waiting for? If you are still waiting, you are going to be waiting a long time.
And it's bullshit. If you're hearing about it in the news or a newspaper, it's too late. If they're telling you it's a crash and they're reporting on it, that shit would have already happened.
Yes.
So that's always crap in my opinion. You can feel it.
But even a crash is relative, right?
Yeah.
Because, like my parents, for example, their first house they ever bought was, I think it was 88 Riverview Street in Haverhill. They bought it for $56,000 in '84.
Damn.
That's wild.
So, like, are
should look that up.
you thinking that a crash is going to get a house back to like the average house prices to be in the 60,000s? Because that's not happening. So, what are you actually waiting for in terms of a crash?
The interest rates to go down, which doesn't make any.
But okay.
It's all about supply and demand. I went back. I remember when we first started investing.
Pause, because I'm pretty sure my parents were saying that when they bought theirs in '84, I think their interest rate was 11.
Oh yeah, dude. The rates we have now. This is what I was screaming about when everyone's like, "It's gonna crash. It's gonna crash." COVID. The rates we have now are historically average rates. They're actually on the lower end of historical.
No doubt.
Yeah.
But no one, to your point, no one ever fucking reads. They just go off whatever the news, television thinks them. They can't think. The little sheepies going through it, and they end up in the same position. And I just thought, I was like, all right, if we bring Miguel on, you're working a couple unique corporate jobs.
Yeah.
Top sales rep with a couple of opportunities.
Right.
Plus doing your real estate investing.
Yep.
If you don't have an excuse, what excuse other people have? Like I had a guy comment yesterday, and I almost never reply to my Instagram comments, but this guy's local, and I hope he fucking sees this. Because he's so smart. I met him at an event. He's capable. And his comment, like he was projecting his own fear. And I replied to it, and I don't think he got the point I was making. He's like, oh, good on you for selling that house. I just sold the Airbnb in South Carolina.
Oh, that was such a beautiful
And
house.
he's like, oh, because those houses have a shelf life. And I go, you just said that house, when I bought that house and I listed it, Zillow Gone Wild picked it up for the first time on Instagram.
Yeah.
17,000 likes, thousands of comments. This house is going in the ocean, blah, 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 blah. Now you've been to that house when I had it.
Yep.
That beach had built back over 3 years. We got it insured. I just made a $500,000 gain in 3 years for taking a risk. Mm-hmm. If you're looking at what everyone else sees, if you're looking at what everyone else sees and what everyone else is waiting for, you're always going to be on the sidelines and watch your life go by you.
Yep.
Right? You gotta dig into the numbers. And the numbers are, this country is 5 million houses short. They can't buy. We're in New England. Where is there land available to drop 1 million houses if they wanted to? So which way do we think prices are going?
But most people are just handicapped by fear, like or not knowing, and they give you a lot of excuses. Because that deal that you pulled off, what was the excuse everyone gave why they didn't buy it?
They couldn't get insurance.
Right, and what was the first thing you did?
Got insurance.
There you go, and then it was done. Like how hard is that? You didn't take the fear answer, like, oh, you can't insure it, it might get washed up on the water. You're like, how can I make it happen? Versus, oh, they're telling me this, and that's what I think the issue is. And I actually we make money off of this issue.
Yeah.
Because if everyone was smart
Of course,
investors, we wouldn't be anything special.
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it.
So,
man.
Mike brings up 2 deals. I'm not scared to act on those deals, but people are scared to act all the time because they're hearing crash. I've been hearing crash since 2009, 10.
Dude,
it hasn't
you can
happened.
do a Google search. You can do a Google search of every year.
Right.
Real estate crash. Plug in the year and change it, and it will show it
And
every
the
year.
amount of cousins that are waiting for the crash before they buy. I'm like, it's been 14 years.
I just think that the people that are waiting for the crash, they're still not going to buy when the crash happens anyways.
No, because at that point it's a bad investment. It's not at the bottom. We're not at rock bottom yet. We don't have this problem yet. It's always
negative. So
Or
it's
it didn't crash
when
enough,
are you
so
going
you
to buy?
still can't afford it.
But I want to go back to like what you said a second ago with inflation. So that house that your parents had, was that the first? Was that the house they sold to Al, actually, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was their starter house, which at that time, I mean, buying something for like $54,000 was
a lot of money in
truly
that
a
time.
starter house, though, still.
Yes.
Right.
Like now, and it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, but it was an actual house. Now your starter is like maybe a 1-bed, 1-bath or 2-bed, 1-bath condo. You're not really getting a house necessarily sometimes.
Or you buy a house without kitchen cabinets in New Hampshire.
you can
And
do
that
that.
happens. We know some people who've been through that experience. And
Putting salt in the wound.
yeah, I was giving, hey, she's doing great now. Shout out to Caitlin. She bought her house hack yesterday.
No, we were just talking about it. I was like, house hack. I haven't heard about that one in a while. That's a
Yeah.
good strategy.
Yeah, she's smart. She listens. I
Smart.
wish the rest of the world did. We'd be in a much better spot. But
Yeah, I don't know.
no, staying with that though, and the price and how it goes up though. The point I was making there, when they sold that house, what did they sell?
They sold it in 2004, right before the crash. They sold it for $220.
Yeah. So think about it. The house is now 20 years older, and the price had 4x'd.
Yeah.
This is the base understanding that people don't understand about money.
Right.
When you call the US dollar money, it's not money. That's disrespectful to money. Money is not something you just print. 1971, go look it up. We come off the gold standard. They can print money. It's not tied to anything now. It's not tied to gold. It's not tied to anything. So the reason we like real estate, the point that we're hoping you're listening to this and the message you're getting, you got to buy hard assets because you're not going to beat inflation. If you're trying to save money, the way that a lot of your parents and my parents' generation was taught to build wealth,
They could do it at the time to kind of make it, but now
it doesn't work now. You can't physically keep up with inflation and where it goes. You go back to your first one. Remember the one in your first one in Lawrence?
Yeah, Ames Street, 108.
Yeah,
That's a legendary
I remember
house.
how risky it was when you bought it at that time.
I bought it for $215 and I was getting ripped off.
Yeah,
Sold it for $375 like a few years later.
And how'd that deal come up?
It was a rehab. It was listed for $79. I was tracking it. It gets rehabbed, and I was working with the seller trying to buy it, and they wouldn't sell it. I was with Evan Silverio, who's an insurance broker in Lawrence, and he was trying to buy the house. Like, man, this guy won't take anything. I already offered $199, but he won't take it. So I was like, shit, I'm offering $215. I know this is going to be $300 like in a year or two,
Yeah.
and he took it at $215.
but dude, see, that's don't sell yourself short. That's the point we're trying to get to people. We're in college.
Yeah,
Like you're not working. Like you're in college. I literally remember this
Yeah.
because we couldn't conceptualize. And you and I had talked. We talked about this before. Like you were in high school still. I think I was about to graduate. We had kind of. I always go back to thinking I
graduated.
had an uncle or something.
think
Where
I
I was like, oh, it'd be
graduated,
one
but
day,
yeah.
it'd be cool.
Yeah.
that was when Matt
whatever.
was skinny Matt. Now he's Jack Matt.
Nice joke, Matt. He went from what's that meme? I'll
Yoke
have her own
Matt.
by 9 search, and now she calls me daddy. That was the best. I'm going.
I remember you put that in a WhatsApp chat.
I'm gonna have Jake edit and make that the cover shot on YouTube
That would be
to have
awesome.
this side by side.
Perfect.
Oh, that'll go real fucking well. Amy, God, I hope Amy never listens to these episodes. We're in so much
She
trouble.
listens to pieces of it, I think.
Dude, we got to be careful. I have people coming up to me now, like, "Hey, I like what you said in this episode," and I'm like, "Ooh," I'm like, "I gotta start attacking
cut
some of
some
the
of
other
this
things."
stuff
Yeah, well, yeah, we're gonna have to decide that, be a little bit more PC. But we got that. Fast forward to where we're at now. We know there's a shortage. We know
Right.
people are sitting on the sidelines.
No doubt.
We said it during COVID. They printed all that money, right? Get educated on this stuff. I think it's your personal responsibility. I think Trump coming in, and that's why I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. I think it's going to be, I think the economy, this is my prediction. I think the economy is going to rip. But if the economy rips, and I don't think a lot of people understand the Fed's responsibility. Fed's responsibility is to have inflation at 2%,
Yep.
then to keep unemployment low. It's the two jobs. It's literally
Right.
their bylaws. And the Fed actually, despite what I think is implied, is technically an independent organization. It's a bank.
Yes. Yeah.
Can argue that all day. I call bullshit, but technically they're not elected officials. Central planners, central bank, look it up. I do think though, if Trump's economy rips, give me the case if you can, because I can't come up with one. Why would rates go down?
Why will rates come down?
If the
They're gonna
economy
come down.
starts to rip and everything gets going,
He's gonna throw gasoline on it. The rates are gonna go down because the prices are gonna go high. That's why. So you're gonna start seeing prices go up. You're gonna need the rates to come down and keep those mortgages the same pricing.
but
right?
that's counterintuitive.
It is counterintuitive, but that's how the rates are gonna come down. If they come up, banks gonna make the money on the big nut.
Yep.
Prices that are coming down, they raise the rates. They still make the money on the interest.
Yep.
As they start going, they can start dropping it down. But it's gonna drop down first, and rates will go up. I mean, value will go up.
Yeah, during Obama's, I'm pretty sure they stayed pretty level.
They
Yep.
were.
And then, so everybody's like, well, Trump inherited a great economy. Sure. But at the same time, that was Obama having a steady interest rate. When Trump came into office, it started to go up, and he consistently still drove the economy higher.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I'm thinking rates might, because we have to look at this for all of our refis, and that's what I'm trying to tell everybody who's going to listen to this. If the rates go down, great. But don't sit on the sidelines. Find your first investment property now and make it work with today's rates.
Buy
Make
it
it work
now.
with higher rates.
yeah.
I actually think you should buy it now at a high rate. So when it does drop, you can refinance at that rate and you have it at that lower cost. As those rates come down, those prices go up. You're going to be
This is what I'm
sticker
saying.
shock. Like, oh shit, now the house is
People
600
go,
grand.
I don't qualify that. Okay, well, if you do the math, every quarter basis point drop, usually 1 million or plus more people qualify for a mortgage.
Right.
The rate, it's that rate sensitive for an FHA loan, right? That's how much the buyer pool expands. So it's basic supply and demand. If 1 million more people suddenly qualify for the house you're looking at, that house just became
No doubt.
how much more valuable.
Which is why the policy of giving everyone $25,000 to be a first-time home buyer was horrible.
Kamala the
nonsense.
Impala.
I call it Hyena Harris.
Did you?
It's a good one.
Oh my God, I haven't heard that one.
Hyena Harris. That was like,
We
that
are
would have been.
definitely shadow banned now.
Almost
We
as good
are
as
fucked.
Wushu Hakachu.
Oh no, fucking Woo Hakushu in Boston. I hate that woman. Oh God,
I laughed so hard when you said it because I
Like-
never heard it.
That is the most racist, vile, destructive
Michelle,
elected
from
official.
Massachusetts.
Oh, really?
That,
Dude,
Yeah.
Woohoo
she
Hakushu.
got caught. Okay, I gotta go on a tangent for a second.
Yeah.
She got caught and then doubled down on admitting it, and it just went away quietly. She threw a party and sent an internal email saying the Caucasian employees were not allowed at the party.
Oh, I think I read about this. Yeah. She sent an internal email
If
and it got out
that's
by
not the
accident.
definition
Yeah.
of fucking racism, what are we doing here? Like, I don't know. Like, this is insane.
It's actually the argument against capital punishment,
And then
right?
she married a white guy.
If
Yeah.
She's like, this is insane. I thought like, oh my God, during COVID, I thought I was in a movie. I couldn't get out of it. I'm like, no one can be this dumb. And then you saw the thing today.
Yeah.
With the lawsuit coming off of Pfizer.
Oh, they got one?
It took all my willpower to not send that to both my brothers.
No, I seen that.
I had a message typed up and busted deleted it.
You
6
shared it with me. I
times.
saw that today.
I shared it with you guys.
'Cause they
I
spread-
wanted to share it with
No.
certain family
No.
that
You don't want to have a liberal meltdown internally.
The misleading studies.
I mean, that's not going to be pretty.
it was misleading studies. You don't say. Shocker. Who knew?
What are the odds?
How much money is getting returned is the question.
That's the problem with it, right? That
You'll get a slap on the. They'll pay what, a $2 billion fine and continue on, and
Made
they
80
already
billion.
made hundreds of billions.
you know, I don't know, man. If he really, it is going to be a very interesting 4 years.
I
It
don't
is
think
gonna
so.
be.
I think it's literally going to be like a gold standard right now, or whatever they were saying that term was. I think it's going to be great. I mean,
I think it's gonna be great, but do you think it's gonna be steady? You don't think it's gonna be dramatic change?
no, it was. I mean, the stock market was chaotic with him as president. It was going up and down, all the speculation. But I think from a real estate standpoint, 100%, the refinance market is going to come back. Those rates are dropping
If
down.
you want,
We're
we've been
all
telling
gonna-
everybody. If you see, I don't know about the rate. What do you think about the rates? I don't think they're going down.
Not instantly, but they're definitely going to come down. The Fed's
Like
dropping points.
how low though?
You're not seeing those 2.9s, 2
Correct.
point, 5 and a
I think
half-
they're going up.
5.5 is where you were at before the recession hit, and they were like testing the economy.
Yeah.
And they showed that if you go down to 2.8, 2.9, like you'll still be okay. Then you can go as high as what it hit 7, 8.
I think they're going back to high 6s, 7s. I really do.
And to me, that's
Yeah,
still low.
That's
Kaylee,
yeah.
what rate did you just get on your purchase? So 6.5. So Kaylee just got a 6.5. She closed yesterday. Commercial, we've closed 2 loans in the last couple of weeks. I know we got a term sheet yesterday and we closed one. We closed the commercial
sheet was
side of the
6.1,
10 and the
wasn't it?
5-year treasury, so it's a little different. But we
Okay.
closed 5.63, which was insane, but
Yep.
we rate locked it away a while ago. And then the term sheet we got yesterday
6.1.
was was it 6.1? I thought it was 6.75. I have to go back and look.
Maybe it was 6.7.
6.1 would be great, but I don't think so. But to your point, that's coming out of one of our buildings that we had locked 2 years ago at 4.75. So that rate's going
But
up.
Trump's going to want to leave a legacy here. And I think he's going to pressure the Fed and be like, we need some more cuts here so we get those rates down, get those prices higher, get a bigger mortgage but a lower rate. And his legacy is going to look great because he's getting our rates back in line. That's what I think his motive is going to be. But
Yeah.
I mean, if
It's
you're at
gonna be-
6%, you're fine anyways.
It's
in
going
my
to be
opinion.
interesting because he's a reckless person in the first place, and he doesn't have to worry about re-election.
He's a savage.
So
I don't know if he's a reckless person. I think he's reckless in the media. He didn't have any policy.
I think he's
Fair.
I think he's a
that's
tactician.
fair. But
100%.
He made a great
You don't
point.
think
I guess
Bob
when I
Kennedy
s-
Jr.
I guess when
is
I
a
say
strategy to his
reckless,
people? That's messaging.
I guess I say reckless from politician industry standards.
No doubt. No, he's a disruptor and a half.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
You think he's a disruptor? I think he's the definition. That he's a fucking savage. The guy's, how old was the guy? Was he 70 something? I don't know if I know the
72?
exact
Yeah,
72.
no, he's in the 70s.
To have that kind of, like, that's what I was trying to tell people. You're seeing a guy he's on trial in like 4 different states. He's campaigning. He's on media
tour.
constantly. And the dude's never tired. And then he fucking golfs. Like when he gets a minute.
And he lives off of Diet Coke. and
He has a stat.
McDonald's.
I don't know if I've ever
you
heard this.
definitely don't work out.
Unearned media coverage. Have you heard the stat he has?
Oh, Rogan was talking about
Yeah,
something like
he's
this.
like he's got millions of dollars of unearned media. Like I didn't set anything up, and the media had me on TV. And that's what Trump.
They compared it with the Harris campaign, the spend, because
right.
dude, they're down. They owe $20 million.
And where'd that money go?
Well, that's
They had that call your
the
daddy
question they
girl
should
on a
ask.
podcast the other day, and they're like, "Hey, how much was that set?" And she was like, "This set was shit." It was reported that they spent over $100,000 on that set.
Yeah.
And the Hawk Tour girl, the Call Your Daddy girl, said it was just cardboard images of our office. It couldn't have been more than $4,000 or $5,000. So like, where'd the money go?
So Harris's campaign didn't even go.
No, they didn't fly to her. They made her fly
Isn't she
out.
one of the
That
biggest
was-
podcasts in the world?
Well, that
Yes.
was one
Or
of
for
the
women.
reasons why Joe Rogan
Actually,
didn't have her on the podcast, because they wanted Joe Rogan to fly to her.
And Rogan was like, "It's open 24 hours. Just get here. We'll do it here."
Yeah, and he's smart, dude. He's so smart because he openly talked about, I put an invite out there. He said they wanted it to be an hour. He's like, no, like there's no time limit. There's no script. We just talk. Trump came on and did, what, 3.5 hours?
Bro,
Hours,
hold
yeah.
on, hold on.
He said the whole time he was there 3.5 hours. When he showed up, he didn't go to the bathroom once. He didn't have any water while they were talking. And then when they were done, he just left and didn't go to the
No,
bathroom.
went to a rally. He went to a rally. He
dude's an
flew into the
alien.
rally.
Flew right to Michigan, I think, or something like
He's
that.
an
Yeah.
alien.
Dude,
There's
that's
no way.
crazy.
Wild.
And like, if you hear him talking, it's not like he sounds parched or anything. Like he goes.
No, and he's smart, but you said something a second ago about the uncovered media. And why I think he's a tactician. He's made comments in the past that I think goes over people's head. And he did it at one of the debates where he made this kind of comment that people thought was controversial in the moment. What his team looked at was people don't remember a lot of the stuff in the debates. They remember the 1 to 2 sound bites. So if you make the explosive sound clip, good or bad,
They're eating your
you
dogs.
Yes, that's
dogs.
exactly what it
They're
was. They're
eating
eating
your
your
cats.
dogs.
Yeah.
That stays at the top of the news cycle.
wasn't wrong.
Constantly. No, he wasn't.
Oh, I showed a
Ironically,
Haitian running off with a turkey from the pond.
ironically, he.
People heard that. They were like, that's not true. I was like, seen the videos.
Well, no, they have seen the video, but that goes back to, again, people being headline readers. So,
Right.
All right. So to button this up, because we jumped around a lot. great whiskey and great alcohol.
Hey, that's natural conversations.
We're gonna have
Tempest.
you. We're gonna have you back on,
Right.
and your prediction is rates come down,
No doubt.
economy booms.
Yep. Gasoline, cooking with oil.
Trump's cooking with oil.
Yep.
Your prediction is steady Eddie.
I think steady.
Steady Eddie, and I think rates rip. I think the economy rips initially, but then I think there's a lot of buyer's remorse and pain the second half of the year.
Buyer's remorse. Okay. I think there's always buyer's remorse. So if you're not buying, you're going to have remorse, in my opinion. Always buy.
Yeah, that's kind of, if you get one takeaway out of this episode,
Right.
don't wait to buy and wait.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, Matthew Hitchcock, thank you for being here. Miguel Lopez,
Always a pleasure.
looking forward to having you again.
Yes, sir.
As always, bet on yourself.